So this is a little bonus Q&A to the last talk. How do you know the job is done? Mm-hmm. Sitting here with Grace, one of my best pals in the world. What do you do at the Block Church?
I'm our executive pastor, so I oversee all of our locations and then ministries at the locations.
Yeah, so we talked about, how do you know when the job is done?
Yeah.
And I think there's a temptation, particularly in our difficult environment. Obviously, we're trying to care for leaders and encourage leaders who are doing work and ministry in tough places.
Yeah.
Talk to me a little bit about the temptation to jump before the job's done.
Yeah, it's so good because I think when you're talking about urban dynamics or mission fields or dark places, it's really sexy at first. It's like, oh, I'm going to go make a difference. And then you get in there and you realize what a slow process it is. And you don't see a lot of quick turnarounds. Even if somebody's getting saved and baptized, you've got years of trauma that God's sanctifying in their life. And before people are ready for leadership, it just takes a long time. And so I think impatience can really tempt you to go somewhere else. I think the pressure, spiritual climates in the urban cities. I mean, you just look at any city, there's just such a dense population of people and the majority are not Christian. And so there's a level of pressure that just happens. And there's times where you just get tired of the pressure. You get tired of everything feeling hard, get tired of the lack of, results. And so I think fatigue's a huge reason to be tempted away. It's going to be easier somewhere else. You can tell yourself that. Yeah, I sat with some pastors last weekend and they just, doing it 20 years, been doing it 30 years. And I just was like, man, I've been doing it 8 years. Tell me, how do you stay, And it's just so good. They're talking through, it's not about just results. It's not about ease. There's something deeper that keeps them there.
That's good. We'll have to do an episode sometime on the miracles that follow those who say yes. But, just going back to your point, your story, you were in Arizona and you wanted to be a missionary.
Yeah.
Just talk a little bit about, okay, I said yes, and kind of, wow, I didn't expect this.
Yeah. Yeah. I always knew that I wanted to be a missionary, go to dark places, go where nobody else is going. So when you called me 2013 and pitched what Philly was like, nobody wants to come here and we got the most crime and the most drugs. And I'm like, yes, I'm going. If nobody wants to go, I want to go. And a couple years in, it's like, you can't even plan for how hard, how stretching. You come to the end of yourself. You need the Lord. Your neighbors are yelling at you. There's infestation in your house. There's just so many things you don't think about. And you have to process through that. And you have to say, okay, God called me to the baptismal tank to baptize somebody, but he also called me to be nice to my neighbor when I know she's infesting my house with rodents,
Just a sidebar. Tell us about the sacrifice you made. You had a job, and I said, Grace, it's time. What did I tell you was going to happen?
That I needed to fundraise my salary for 2 years, come on staff, because we were going to start a second location, and you and I were going to run 2 locations.
How to burn your people out. I was just trying to help you have a book to write later. No, we got through it. All right. So tell me something that stood out to you regarding, how do you know when the job is done? Anything that you liked or that spoke to you?
Yeah. I mean, so many things. I think, the systems working just really stood out. If things can really happen without you, if recruiting's happening without you, I think you said that's huge because, you kind of get the dopamine hits or the wins when you're doing and succeeding. And it's a different level when your win becomes somebody else's winning, when you've taught somebody or the system is working and you're not needed. I think that's really hard to get to and to see that as success, but it's so valuable and it really can help close a chapter well if God's stirring you. Certain
personality types struggle with that from an ego perspective.
Yeah.
It's like if you want to achieve something, but it's happening without you, you might lose the credit.
Yeah.
But that is the greatest leadership game.
Yeah.
One other thing we've been talking about, one of the points was a documented diary.
Yeah.
Is there an area in our organization, I'm leading you obviously, but is there an area in our organization we know we've got to do better in that you're kind of going to champion?
Yeah, I think if there's anything out of your talk that I'm directly applying is that diary. There's so much when you've been doing something for a long time, it's in your head, it comes second nature. You feel like, oh, if you're going to run this report, of course you would go pull this, this, and this. Or if you're going to file a document, of course you would put it here. But if you are really trying to hand something healthy off, then you want to have that documented or have some paper trails or some diary where somebody could easily find this. Like Lewis and Clark documented their diary so beautifully because they always thought about, we want to give this away. We want other people to also find this path. And that takes intentionality. And sometimes in leadership in hard places, you get into survival mode and you're like, I'm just going to get this work done because I'm surviving, rather than the intentionality, sit back and say, let me document this. Have I taken 5 minutes to put this in a diary so somebody else could come follow this same path?
I love that. Yeah. And look, at the end of the day, all we're trying to do is help leaders in hard places while kind of applying some of the things that we say. So hope this helps.